Welcome back to another episode of Practical Nutrition. I'm Alix.
I'm Cassie.
And I'm Sara.
And today we are talking about fruits and veggies. So, since we were little tykes, we have heard the phrases, eat the rainbow, make half your plate fruits and veggies, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to at home. Whether we were taught the food pyramid back in the day or MyPlate now, we are all aware of the importance of fruits and veggies in these food groups. However, we understand that it can be difficult to get enough. We want to try to aim for 10 to 12 servings of fruits plus vegetables a day. And that quota is what we recommend, and we understand that can be difficult. So towards the end of the podcast, we're going to talk about tips and tricks and ways to get more. So when we say those 10 to 12 servings, that translates to about 1 cup, 1 medium piece of fruit, or roughly an eighth cup dried fruit, and 1 cup raw leafy greens, or half cup other veggies. When you think about those 10 to 12 servings, that's kind of what it breaks down to. So there are roughly 9 different families of fruits and veggies. However, as we know, we struggle to get a lot of them. It is reported that only 9% of adults consume the recommended amount of vegetables, and 12% of adults consume the recommended amount of fruit, according to the CDC.
Those are crazy statistics.
I know.
We can do better.
We're better than this, guys. 9%. 12%. But it's okay. You're going to listen to this and be like, I'm motivated. I'm ready to eat more. So, results also show that consumption was lower among men and young adults.
Come on, guys.
Come on, guys. You're better than that. Go females. No, I'm just kidding. So, like I said, we consistently hear the phrases, we need to eat fruits and veggies because they're good, because they're healthy. But what does that really mean? How is it beneficial? We're going to kind of break it down through research today. And we're going to start with what even is the difference between a fruit and veggie. And Cass is going to start us off.
Yeah, very interesting. We have debates about this at my house. my kids have debates with their friends, so they'll come ask me as the expert.
Yes.
And then they can go tell their friends that they were right or whatever.
Yes, I love it.
So the answer is it depends on how you're categorizing the food. And that's what makes it confusing. Botanically speaking, so how they're grown, a fruit is a seed-bearing structure that develops from the ovary of a flowering plant. On the flip side, veggies are considered all other parts of the plant, such as the roots, leaves, and stems. Some veggies that are actually fruits based on their botanical characteristics include some that people may have had questions about, like avocados. That's actually botanically a fruit. Cucumbers, peppers, olives, pumpkin, peas, beans, zucchini, and squash.
What?
Those are all botanically fruits.
Yes.
So the difference in fruits and veggies has been such a debate that it even made it to the Supreme Court, which is
Are you
crazy.
kidding?
So in the 1893 case of Nix versus Hedden, the court ruled unanimously that an imported tomato should be taxed as a vegetable rather than as a less taxed fruit.
This is so funny.
I know. The court acknowledged that a tomato is a botanical fruit, but when what they called the ordinary definitions of fruit and veggies, aka the ones used in the kitchen, is what they went with. And so that's very interesting trivia.
That's so interesting.
People are serious about their fruits and veggies. They got to know which one makes the most sense.
And from a cooking or kitchen perspective, fruits and veggies are separated based on taste, which fruits are sweet or sour, and veggies, which are mild and savory. And nutritionally, the only large generality is that fruit is typically sweeter due to the natural sugar content. And apart from this, other factors such as vitamin profile, fiber amount, etc., vary based on each individual plant. And that's something that you'll see us use as more of a nutritional standpoint of how many carbs they have and what other nutrients they have. Veggies may have more protein in them. And so I always say is it's nutritionally a veggie, botanically a fruit, if I'm trying to explain it. Or botanically a fat, or maybe like avocado may be a fat. So you have to look at what nutrients it provides.
That's a good way to put it. I like the way you put that. Very, very interesting. So if you were kind of confused about it, now you have a little clarity. And maybe not. Maybe it's still just confusing, but that's okay. So we talked about kind of the difference. So why should we be eating fruits and veggies? Everybody tells you that. Your parents have told you that. Dietitians tell you that. Why? A diet rich in fruits and veggies contains essential vitamins, minerals, fiber, and phytochemicals. And again, those phytochemicals help stop the formation of potential cancer-causing carcinogens. The benefit is well researched tons of research about the benefit of having fruits and veggies, and is shown to be disease fighting when incorporated consistently, with variety, and in the right portions. So we're going to dive into some research, just kind of going through some stuff that we've seen and how it's beneficial to potential disease risks. So this is a big cohort study. The Nurses' Health Study consisted of 121,000 females ages 30 to 55. And then they started a second study within that shortly after with the recruitment of 116,000 younger females, a little bit younger population. Then they added the males in, even though you're not eating enough fruits and veggies. I'm just teasing. The health professionals follow-up study cohort was comprised of 51,000 males. So we've got tons of females, tons of males doing this study. So investigators sent follow-up questionnaires every 2 years to participants to update info on past medical history and lifestyle factors and dietary changes. So this study was 14 years long. The food frequency questionnaires collect info on average intake of each food item over the past year. It also specifies a common serving size for each item. So participants could select from 1 of 9 intake frequency choices, ranging from less than once per month to 6 times a day. So that's the range of how many fruits and veggie servings they were having in a day. So, in summary, why was this study launched? So the study was conducted to determine the relationships of a variety of nutrients, foods, and dietary patterns with the subsequent risk of developing various diseases such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, mortality in U.S. men and women. So it was looking at how diet affects the risk of different disease states such as, like I said, hypertension, cardiovascular disease. So we're going to dive into some of that now. So there were several conclusions from this 14-year study, and Sarah's going to start us off.
Yes, so we are going to tell you the results of things that a lot of people commonly experience, like strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, things like that. So first of all, let's look at heart attack and stroke risk. So the study found that compared with those in the lowest category of fruit and vegetable intake, which was less than 1.5 servings per day, those who averaged 8 or more servings were 30% less likely to have had a heart attack or a stroke. That's a big number.
Ooh, that is a big number.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's look at diabetes. Greater consumption of whole fruits was associated with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. How is that possible, you say? Because shouldn't diabetics not consume fruit? Because it has sugar.
I don't know. What do you say, Sarah?
Let's talk about that. So it's a common misunderstanding for diabetics, and I've heard this day in and day out from a lot of people that we've seen here, just generally that have diabetes, that are like, well, I can't have fruit because of the sugar content. And that's not necessarily true. And talking with the dietitian can help debunk this thought. And it's very individualized too, how that affects your individual blood sugar, making sure that you have a glucometer, something to track your blood sugar to see how food affects your blood sugar is kind of where we would start at with that. And the answer is not going to be the same for person 1 that has diabetes versus person 2. So think about that. And another important finding was that greater consumption of fruit juice was associated with a higher risk of development. There's a lot more sugar and calories that are obviously in fruit juice. So we always encourage people to get their fruit, and there's a lot of water in fruit as well from whole fruits rather than fruit juice. And lastly, let's look at cancer risk. So specifically, we'll highlight the results that they found with breast cancer. So in this large analysis, there is a higher total fruit and vegetable consumption during adulthood, and that was associated with a modest, statistically significant lower invasive breast cancer incidence. And additionally, the inverse associations appeared to be strongest for consumption 8 or more years before diagnosis. So think about that too. Obviously, developing those habits and having those habits consistently over a longer duration is more important than just starting to increase your fruits and vegetables a month before diagnosis, right? So that's what we work on with people, is increasing their habits so that we can have those long term and hopefully decrease your overall risk of cancer, diabetes, stroke, all those things that we just mentioned.
Yeah, and we understand as dietitians there's a lot of other things that go into those types of diagnoses, but in general, just having more fruits and veggies can decrease your risk overall. And again, individualized, but why not incorporate more fruits and veggies and potentially decrease our risk, right? So next, we've got weight management and weight loss. So research continues to show that a diet rich in fruits and veggies can help promote weight loss or maintain current weight. All these great things from just eating fruits and veggies. Let's keep it going. So there's less room. Well, think about it. So if you put half your plate fruits and veggies, there's going to be less room for other things on there that maybe are really highly processed or fried or high in sugar. So just making those choices naturally are going to help you be healthier overall and more balance on your plate. And fruits and veggies are lower calorie typically, unless you're dipping them in like butters and sauces and that kind of stuff. If you can't have carrots without like 2 cups of ranch, then that might not be the route to go. Maybe do something a little bit different. But generally speaking, they are lower calorie. And like Sara said, they're mostly made up of water. Most veggies are over 90% water. So if you're filling up on that volume, they're not going to be as calorie dense. And then it might help manage your weight a little bit more. It might even improve your weight loss if that's kind of the journey that you're going for.
And I love that because it's positive. And you see so many weight loss programs out there. Don't eat this. Don't do this. Don't, and that's something that we really try to help our clients with. It doesn't have to be so negative. You can think about, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to eat? And filling up your plate with those nutrient-dense, low-calorie fruits and veggies is a great way to think about what you are doing to help yourself instead of what you can't have. And so what you do on the other half of your plate, you're not going to get into too much trouble.
Right.
But even if you have, those fun foods, having fruits and veggies with them can really help. So
yeah, we definitely promote that balance. I'm really glad that you mentioned that. And then the next part we're going to look at, better life satisfaction, and Sarah's going to dive us into that.
I like this because we like to focus a lot on what's called intrinsic motivation factors and things that aren't necessarily based upon what you look like, but more so how you feel, what in your life has increased or changed positively other than you obviously losing weight, because we understand people have number goals and weight loss goals, but there's so much more to being healthy than just that. So let's pull out some research real quick. A 2016 Household Income and Labor Dynamics longitudinal study observed life satisfaction scores with increased fruit and vegetable intake, and the results showed that increasing fruit and vegetable intake was predictive of increased happiness, life satisfaction, and well-being. So for 8 servings of fruits and veggies per day, there was up to 0.24 life satisfaction points, which is equal in size to the psychological gain of going from unemployment to employment. That's really interesting, and I love that we put that research study in here because, like I said, there's just so much more to being healthy, and the better you feel, the more apt that you are to make better choices and probably increase your fruits and vegetables even more.
I love it. And kind of like Sarah was saying, you don't really know how good you can feel until you try some of this stuff, and the first step might just be trying different fruits and veggies and having half a cup a day and then seeing how we do from there, because we understand that 10 to 12 can be a big jump for a lot of people. So if you're unsure of where to start or kind of how to start incorporating, come see us for that free 30-minute nutrition appointment. And then Cassie's going to look at our last study about blood pressure.
Yes, and referring back to the cohort studies mentioned earlier, researchers also examined long-term fruit and veggie intake on high blood pressure risk. Consumption levels of greater than or equal to 4 servings a week were associated with lower hypertension risk, with results suggesting that greater long-term intake and increased consumption of whole fruits may reduce the risk of developing hypertension. So it would be a preventative measure. So that's very exciting because hypertension is also called the silent killer because you may not know you have it until if you don't get it checked. And so this is something that you can actively do to help decrease your risk of high blood pressure. So, and as you can see, there are huge benefits, lots of benefits, and we didn't even go into that much detail.
No.
We could talk for hours about fruits and veggies. To getting at least some fruits and veggies a day. And again, we say some because you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to go out there tomorrow and eat 12 servings a day. But that's something that you can start working on, and getting a little bit in is better than nothing. But is there too much of a good thing? That's a good question. So can you eat too many fruits and veggies? Well, again, the answer is going to be yes, you can. So with most things, there's always, too much of a good thing can sometimes cause some problems for some people. While fruits are nutritious, too much of even that healthy food can lead to weight fluctuations and sometimes body fat increases. So if you're eating a lot more calories than you're burning, then you can increase your body weight just by having fruit. So, right now it's summer, all the fruit is so yummy. So if you eat like a whole whole watermelon every day, that might affect your body weight. So even though it's tasty and healthy. And it's important to remember portion control and balance. And Alix mentioned those portion sizes earlier, so you can use that as a guide, and the servings a day, and especially with those fruits and the starchy veggies. And again, I look at nutritionally versus botanically. So while a potato may be botanically a veggie, I would count it more like a starchy food, like a grain or something like that, because nutritionally it's more similar to that. So you can think about that as well. Non-starchy veggies, though, things like broccoli and carrots and other things like that, are difficult to overeat unless they're accompanied by what Alix mentioned earlier as well, those heavy sauces, cheeses, butter, salad dressings, etc. And veggies do absorb those things when you cook with them, so that's something that you need to consider. And veggies are consisted over 90% of water, which makes them low calorie, but if you overeat them with things added to them, then that can cause you to gain weight. And also, if you eat a whole lot of veggies, so say you're not eating many right now, you go out tomorrow and you eat 10 servings of broccoli, you're going to feel bloated. So,
does not mean that you have an allergy to broccoli.
Right. So,
you are just bloated.
Right. And so some people will eat a whole lot of veggies and fruits, and they may get, the recommendation is maybe 25 grams of fiber, 30 grams of fiber for people, but you may be getting 60, 100 grams of fiber, I've seen, and people come in and they say they're always bloated and have a lot of stomach distension and uncomfortable stomach, and then when they look at it, they're eating a ton of vegetables and fruit, which we recommend.
Yeah.
But you're going to often get some very normal side effects, which would be some bloating from the digestion of those and the bacteria that is eating healthy gut bacteria, which is a good thing, but is breaking down some of those things, and the increased fiber. And so as you're increasing these fruits and veggies too, you need to be sure you're getting plenty of water, and just know that some of those symptoms are very normal. That doesn't mean that something's wrong with you, or you have an intolerance, or you can't eat those things. Give your body some time to adjust, add it slowly, drink plenty of water, make sure you're chewing everything, and see what you can do after maybe decreasing a little if you're having a lot of symptoms.
Absolutely. All good points. And the next point is, can't I just take a supplement? Like, this all just seems too hard. I want to do a greens powder. I want to just do supplements. And supplements are not intended to replace food. So we wouldn't want you doing a greens powder in place of your 10 to 12 servings of fruits and veggies. They are meant to supplement the diet, hence the name supplement. They can replace nutritional gaps. So like if you're vegan, you can use supplements to help replace some of those gaps as needed by various populations, like I just mentioned. So the benefit of eating whole real food versus a supplement includes more balanced nutrition. So whole foods are more complex. They provide a variety of macros. They have phytonutrients, high in fiber. So that's stuff that you're not going to get from just having a supplement. With whole food, what you see is what you get. So if you pick up an apple at the store, it is what it is. There's no ingredient label because an apple is an apple. But with supplements, it's not regulated by the FDA, so they could be contaminated with different things, could have tons of ingredients. Sometimes if you pick up a supplement, they could have a list of 100 ingredients. So just being aware of that. Supplements are expensive. If you're like constantly buying supplements, you probably are realizing how much money you're spending. But if you buy fruits and veggies, you're probably gonna get more benefit. Again, more fiber, phytonutrients, and you can buy them fresh, frozen, canned if you need to. So again, just a different way to get different nutrients, but supplements are expensive. And then there's risks for mega dosing with supplementation. So like, for example, vitamin A can lead to headaches, rash, acute increased intracranial pressure, abdominal pain, nausea, and that's if you have lots of vitamin A in your diet and then you're mega dosing supplements. Some supplements have over 200% of the RDA for certain nutrients. So we just want to be aware of that because you can reach toxicity with some vitamins and minerals. So as you can see, getting enough fruits and veggies is very important. We've gone through tons of the research. We've talked about supplements versus whole food. We've looked at what the difference is. So how are we going to do it? What do you think, guys? How are we going to do it? It can be difficult, and we're just going to share some tips with you and some of our experience and kind of what we do to help increase those fruits and veggies in our day.
Yeah, so I'll give you a couple, and one of them is something that I like to take advantage of, and that is breakfast. So depending on what I'm in the mood for, savory or sweet, with my sweet cravings, I like to include fruits. With my savory cravings, I like to include vegetables. So I like to add fruit on top of yogurt or with waffles, or if I'm feeling eggs, then I'll try and make some sort of like veggie mixture incorporated in with it. And it's not a whole lot of extra work, especially if you take time to prep fruits and vegetables right after you go to the grocery store. Hopefully they're just right there available. You can also blend it into soups or smoothies. One thing I'll say about smoothies is a lot of people ask us about like how should we get protein in our smoothies, and one really good way to do that is through like adding just a plain Greek yogurt. Smoothies can get really high in carbs and the natural sugars that fruit offer, and so we want to make sure that you're having enough but not too much, and then also kind of counter that with a little bit of protein that you can get from Greek yogurt or from milk or something like that. Additionally, with vegetables, you can add those in soups. If it's fall time, maybe you try and use an orange vegetable or a red vegetable and blend that in with your soups. Same thing with winter time and things like that. You can vary what you use based on the season, and that's just the nature of fruits and vegetables in general too. And then also have a plan. So make a shopping list and stick to it. Try not to go grocery shopping with when you're hungry. I make this mistake far too many times. But it does make a difference. And if you can, try and plan your meals and snacks. It really does always help to have a plan, and it helps you set yourself up for success. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, but when you do get home from the store, tell yourself you're going to prep all of your fruits and vegetables, set aside time so that you can do that. That way you don't have an excuse. I make this mistake all the time, and I know a lot of my clients have mentioned this too, but their fruits and vegetables just get thrown into little storage area in the fridge, or they get thrown in the back and they get forgotten about, and then they're rotten and old and you can't use them. So think about having a plan whenever you go to the grocery store.
Yes, that's good, because it's whenever you have them cut up, I know my family will eat them more as
Yeah.
well.
Oh,
My
yeah.
kids
Yes,
will
for
eat
sure.
the bell peppers if I cut them up, but if I don't cut them up, then they're going to be in the drawer at the end of the week.
How simple is that? Like, it's
So,
just, it's
I
so
know.
funny how we operate like that.
Yeah.
So and then it's something I see consistently. So just that little step. And if you don't have time for that, then just acknowledge that and buy them already pre-cut. So
This is
that's
true.
yeah.
It's more expensive,
So-
buy a veggie tray
Right.
if you have to.
Yeah. Just buying a veggie tray may be the best way for you to get your fruits and veggies in, and that's okay. And some weeks you may have time to prep, some weeks you may not. And so realizing that and knowing that is helpful. And then I also keep frozen fruits and veggies around, just because, for example, we just got back from the July 4th holiday, and we got in late on a Sunday night or a Monday night actually, and started back work on Tuesday. And so I didn't have time to get everything ready. So having the frozen fruits and veggies helped me get our family having fruits and veggies right when we got back into town before we got to the store. So little things like that. And you'll also learn too how you eat things, because I don't know if you guys notice this, but some fruits and veggies stay better longer than others. Most people know that. So like berries, for example, may not last for a week, a full week. So I may eat those earlier in the week, and then have things like apples, oranges. I have those all throughout the week, but I try to also keep those things that are going to last longer, maybe for later in the week, so they're still fresh. I have found that broccoli, for example, stays good a lot longer than fresh green beans. And so I'll try to cook the fresh green beans on the Monday or Tuesday after I'm in the store. And so just little things like that, if you're noticing things are going bad. I mean, you can always freeze stuff too. Almost everything that we've talked about, you can throw in the freezer if it's going to go bad, because you hate to waste your money on something. So just some things about the store that's good. And then also spicing it up. I honestly don't just make plain steamed broccoli really anymore with all the fun things that we have. You can, top with fresh herbs. That's an easy way. And fresh herbs are veggies as well. In the summer, I have a little herb pot, and you can, grow rosemary and basil and all sorts of things just right. You can grow it inside, outside. Super easy for someone who doesn't like to garden, and it gives you a lot of instant flavor and a lot of those antioxidants that we were talking about earlier. You can also roast them. That's one of my favorites. You can make them nice and crispy. Use your air fryer. That's another really good thing. Carrots are excellent in the air fryer. Broccoli is really good. And then sauteing them in some avocado oil or olive oil with some garlic and seasoning is going to really ramp it up. That's my family's favorite way to have green beans. beans. So if you don't like something just steamed and plain, maybe try it in a different way. You can add certain types of seasonings like Mexican style with cumin, cayenne, and paprika. You can do Indian spices, sprinkling curry powder, garlic. Adding that adds a lot of flavor, and that's a vegetable that has its own antioxidants itself. Cheese, also everybody's favorite. So a little Parmesan or feta cheese or something stronger will help you not have to use as much cheese and give it more flavor. But if you can put that on the top of the finished dish, it will add some extra zing to it that people may like. And then also trying something new. And this is something that I recommend for everyone to do. If you see a vegetable or fruit in the store, then if you've never heard of it before, just look it up. The internet's great for this. So back when I was first a dietitian, I had to like research stuff in different ways. I'm dating myself. But now you can just pull it up on the internet and find a recipe, So for example, I remember, I didn't know what chayote squash was. And so I was like, well, let me see what I can do with that. So I bought it, and then I looked up a recipe in a cookbook, and then and then made it, and it was really good. And it was just interesting. So you can do that with all sorts of different fruits and veggies, different things that are in season or things that you haven't heard of. And trying to get those different colors is a good way to go to the store as well. So when my kids were little, I would have them help me pick out, okay, let's pick out some red things, let's pick out some orange things. And those colors are a result of the nutrients that are in them. So red things have different things than orange things, for example. So getting a lot of colors is good. And that can add some variety and just visual appeal to your meals as well. But adding spinach or other veggies to lasagna, blending cauliflower with mashed potatoes, you won't hardly know it's there. Applesauce instead of oil in recipes or baked goods is another thing that you can't really tell that's there, and it adds a lot of moisture. Roasting fish under layers of lemon slices is really good as well, and adding apples on top of pork chops. So thinking about those fruits that you can put with meats and pair in the summer for something fresh, that can be helpful as well. And even lemons are really good on pizzas, which is something that people don't realize. Like arugula and lemon on a pizza is really good.
All right, we got to try that.
Yeah, wait, I've had arugula. I've never had lemon.
Same here.
I'm confident in that.
Yeah.
That I've not had that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to try it. See?
You're
challenging us to try something new. Riley, I know what we're having for dinner tonight. Lemon arugula pizza. I like it. All right, and then next, so this is for kind of those picky eaters. Be sneaky if you have to. Adding shredded carrots into like a pasta dish. You could do black bean brownies. You could do zucchinis in a morning muffin. So there's lots of different ways to sneak in some veggies. And then we've already talked about this a little bit, leaving fruit in obvious places. So we talked about like putting things in the back of the fridge and how it gets lost and moldy. If you set things out on the counter, you're much more likely to eat it. So put, like Cassie was saying, put like your apples and oranges and bananas out on the counter so it's easier to grab and go rather than putting them way back in the fridge or up in the top shelf of the pantry to where you might forget about them. And same thing, like once you prep your fruits and veggies, leave them in the front of the fridge so you don't forget about them. Next, salads with or before meals to get veggies in. That's always a great way to help incorporate more color into your meal. Like for example, if you're gonna have pizza, I know that all three of us love pizza.
Oh yeah.
But then if you pair it with a nice like Greek salad or something, then you're getting some veggies in at that meal as well. And then lastly, I have some clients that need to dip veggies in hummus and ranch, and that's completely okay. I always tell my clients I would rather you have to dip it in something in a right portion and get it in than not have it at all. So doing like celery and peanut butter is a really good snack, or carrots and some Greek yogurt ranch dip, or like I mentioned, peppers and hummus. Those are good ways to get some color and variety in if you've got to dip it in something. So we've talked a ton about fruits and veggies. I don't know that I can say those words again today because I've said it so many times.
I do want to say one more quick thing, real quick, because I know we're running out of time. But real quick about just for parents out there with the picky. I know Alix talked about the picky kids, and so I just want to mention that we see people as adults who didn't ever eat fruits and veggies as kids, and they have sometimes a harder time as adults learning to like those whenever they really need to maybe decrease their weight weight or control their blood pressure. And so it makes it a lot more challenging for those clients. And so I just want to throw that out there for all of you parents as a good challenge to make sure that regardless of if it's always carrots and green beans or whatever your kids like, you're giving them a vegetable and or fruit that they like, and then also encouraging them to try new things and make it where it's not an option. This is just what you do. You try it. It's just part of your day. And I had one of my children, I won't mention any names. I had one of my children who ate everything, and I thought I was the best dietitian mother in the world. And so I really, seriously, I was like, well, of course I gave her all these things from when she was little, and she liked them all, and it's because I gave them to her, you know. And then I had one of my other children who is extremely picky and was extremely picky when she was younger. And it took some foods, 10 years of me, having her try that consistently to where, she's now, not as picky as I would say, or what you would call it, when she'll try different things. Now, there definitely are certain things that she still doesn't like because of textures. Some people have more aversions to textures, and that's a real thing. And learning how to prepare those in a way they like them. And then also some people taste that bitter taste a little bit more intensely than others. So not making your kids feel like they're doing something wrong because they don't like it, but just these are healthy. You can't get the nutrition from other places. All this new knowledge you learned today, you can explain some of that to them. It's important for their heart, all of these other things, and then make sure that they understand that it's something they need to do and need to eat, and a little bit goes a long way. So
absolutely, that was a great addition. I love it. Okay, well, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out, but we hope you learned a little more about fruits and veggies today and why they are so important. So we will be back next week with another episode of Practical Nutrition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.